Marie, in Sunday, Italy. Oh, won't you swing around the Coliseum, Forum, and Trevi with me? In my Alfa Romeo, we can buzz via Benito. And if we ain't too weary and we got the leery, we can go to a picture show. Oh, Marie, way out, Marie. Tell your papa, the producer, to make a big star out of me. Oh, play with me. Oh, you're my Scarlett O'Hara in your starlit mascara, Marie. Oh, Marie, my little chubby Marie. Oh, Marie, my little chubby Marie.
Oh, dai un po', che te stavo aspettando attesa. Andiamo, forza.
A Western, yes, but made in Italy. The Italian Western exploded across the screens of Europe when an unknown director, Sergio Leone, made a little sleeper called Per un pugno di dollari, or For a Fistful of Dollars, and broke every Italian box office record. Sergio Leone imported his hero, Clint Eastwood, the American TV star, who was then unknown in Europe. To sell the Italian public, every effort was made to pass it off as the authentic Hollywood product. Names of Italian actors were changed, and even Sergio Leone became Bob Robertson. But Fistful was a smash hit, so Bob Robertson became Sergio Leone again. And Clint Eastwood, well, Rowdy Yates wasn't Rowdy Yates no more. In fact, Clint starred in the sequel for a few dollars more with Lee Van Cleef, an even bigger success. Well, that set the trend. Dollar, it seemed, was the magic word, so all the films had dollar in their titles. Then somebody discovered Ringo, changed Juliana Gemma's name to Montgomery Wood, and made a bundle on a yarn called A Pistol for Ringo. Now, Ringo was the magic word. So Italians went to see Ringo, the Face of Revenge with Anthony Stephan, Ringo of Nebraska with Ken Clark, A Woman for Ringo with Sean Flynn, Kill Johnny Ringo with Brett Halsey, and finally, A Coffin for Ringo with Mr. Ex-Tarzan Lex Barker. About this time, Sergio Leone made his third winner, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. To Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef, he added another American, Eli Wallach. By now, titles were going in wild directions. Gringo, Throw the Gun Away. Run, Man, Run. Stranger, Make the Sign of the Cross. 3 crosses not to die. Chrysanthemums for a load of carrion. His name screamed vendetta. If you meet Sartana, pray for your death. Kill them all and come back alone.
Azione, via così. 1, 2, 3, prendi il tempo, via sotto, 1, là! No, l'unica... Vanno bene tutte, l'unica cosa è sto colpo qui che sembra proprio da karate. Scusamente il momento della... Adesso qui, dopo il destro. 1, evitalo, via così! Bang! Da qua, poi mi prende il collo, spanti di qua, così, sforzo, questo la mano così, e va giù per te. Hai capito?
Excuse me, are you the head stuntman?
I am the director here. Sorry.
Oh? What is the title of this film?
The Italian title is Vado, Vedo e
A
Sparo.
Western. What's your name?
Enzo G. Castellari.
Tell me, why are Westerns so popular in Italy?
Westerns are popular everywhere. Some of the first films made were Westerns. In Italy, there's no doubt that it was Sergio Leone and the big success of For a Fistful of Dollars that opened the road to the Westerns made in Europe. I would say it is the public who decides on the success of a film or a kind of film. And the public finds in Westerns an escape from its daily problems and worries. There have been so many serious, heavy, difficult films in recent years that the public is tired of trying to understand them. Me too. The Western is different. The spectator sits and is just amused in a world of fantasy with horses, rides, fights, and chases. I guess that it is directed at the child that remains in most of us.
Via dal fondo! Okay, follow him. Panoramic. Okay, stop, that's enough.
Enzo,
Yeah?
how many Westerns have you directed so far?
Only 4, but very, very good.
And what were you doing before making Westerns?
The usual thing, assistant director. I'm very thankful to the Western because they gave me my first chance to direct. You see, I'm 29 years old, which I think is pretty young for a director. There's such a demand for Westerns that they need many directors. And that always gives a chance to the young ones. If it were not for the Western, I would probably still be an assistant.
Impatti sotto I cavalli. Lallo che sta ancora mai in alto, mai in alto. Quindi lui butta il sacco della posta sotto. Impatti, tom, 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 tom. Questo se ne va, Lallo monta in corsa, noi seguiamo il panorama fino laggiù.
Italian Westerns are noted for their scenes of violence. What about your films?
I think that violence has gone a bit out of fashion. The first Italian Westerns had scenes with broken heads, broken limbs, torture, much blood. Yes, it made a strong impression on the spectators, but such effects, they cannot be repeated too often, or, well, they lose their punch. Personally, I am not able to shoot these scenes. Sometimes I would like to. They fascinate me, but I cannot. My style, you see, is much lighter. My heroes exchange punches, but I never do show blood. It would interfere with the movement and with the humor I like to give to my film.
Enzo, besides Westerns, what other kind of films would you like to do?
Action films. For me, cinema is motion, moving pictures. It must move. More than the type of film, it is the action really that counts. I personally like making fast-moving films and adding a little fun. I believe the spectator should be taken along by the speed of the action, but smile while looking at it.
Atentos, rodamos. Motore. Vai motore. Rodando. Rueda. Vai motore lì. Vai. Alto! Alto!
Still, Westerns are Westerns. They all have horses, good guys, and guns. Here at Cinecittà are shelves of guns, and some so original, they've never been west of the Tiber River. Tell me, who is using these guns?
At this moment, 6 Westerns are using our guns and arms. This is one of them. This revolver, you see here, was Lee Van Clift in the film for a few dollars more.
But besides revolvers, what other guns do you have?
I have everything. Rifles, mostly Civil War Winchesters, 73 repeaters. All these have been made by Italian craftsmen. They are exactly like the originals, and they all can be fired. An expert could not tell them apart from the real weapon. Part of my job is special effects. This compressed air gun fires a pellet. At the same time, the actors shoot a blank. The pellet breaks the window.
Now for the good guy. Shiny boots, laundered Levi's, crisply ironed shirt, fresh shave, and those dark Italian eyes. Uh-oh, they're blue. Well, Clint Eastwood started the whole bit after all. But you can't be sure the hero will win in the end. In some Italian westerns, the good guy loses. Villains are different too. With a savage taste for torture, the Italian bad guy does not kill for profit only, but for the violent and sadistic pleasure he gets out of it. As for the girl, well, she's not very important. She's often Mexican, young and well-constructed, usually being raped in front of the camera. The Western is also having a big influence on Roman life. Let's follow this daytime cowboy to the bunkhouse, the Western club where John and Wayne hold forth every night.
Now I'm running, 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 must keep a gunning, there's no other way to survive. Yes, I'm running, 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 never returning, wanted, dead or alive. A bounty hunter found me and vowed to gun me down. 10,000 was the price of my reward. Now let me tell you, buddy, he ain't around today. Now some might say he played a losing card. Now I'm running, 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 must keep a gunning, there's no other way to survive. Yes, I'm running, 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 never returning, wanted, dead or alive, dead or alive, dead or alive. Well, I'm on my way to the endless day, the better way I found. I'll do my best on this old earth, then move to higher ground. You know I'm bound for higher ground. I'm seeking a golden crown. Can't remain on this earthly plane. I'm bound for higher ground. Yes, I'm bound for higher ground. I'm seeking a golden crown. Can't remain on this earthly plane. I'm bound for higher ground. Well, the clouds below try to block my way. They try to turn me round. Takes a mighty man with a heavy load of Puerto Rico higher ground. You know I'm bound for higher ground. Well, I'm seeking a golden crown. Can't remain on this earthly plane. I'm bound for higher ground. Yes, I'm bound for higher ground. I'm seeking a golden crown. Can't remain on this earthly plane. I'm bound for higher ground.
The Western fad has also spread into high fashion. Here in a church on the Palatine Hill, in the heart of Rome, we observe Italy's first Western wedding. I wonder if these two met in the bunkhouse, or maybe on a Western movie set. Italy has always been known for its scenic beauty. Ideal setting for a honeymoon, vacation, or skiing.
Hey, listen. This is the road to the ski lift, isn't it?
Sorry, I don't know.
No.
No, I'm just making a Western here, ma'am.
Oh.
Doing so many Westerns, Italian filmmakers looked for new twists, like a Western in the snow. After all, doesn't it snow in Montana? This brings up new problems, like horses who don't like snow. And if it's too rough for a camera car, well, get a camera horse. If horses don't like the snow, neither do technicians or actors in sub-zero temperature. But Italian cowboys know ways to cope with the weather. Of course, snow on the mountains calls for snow on the set. Would you believe 26 tons of shaving cream? These are only a few of the problems director Sergio Corbucci had to solve. Sergio Corbucci, you are directing your 7th Italian Western, The Great Silence. What do you think is the reason for the success of this type of film?
Success? Ah, the Westerns. The main reason, I believe, is that, well, we assume or recreate the atmosphere of our time, a time of violence. Violence without reason, and often just for the sake of violence. It's the same, I think, the main reason for the success of the films of James Bond.
In this film, Mr. Corbucci, have you much death and violence?
Well, you probably know that I am a Roman, and at home, in some class, is presumed to be the skeleton of Nero, who is proving to be a good example for me. Yes, I am killing a lot of people. I have killed more people than Nero and Caligula. But each time it's more difficult for me to find a new method of murder that could be used in each film. I have used revolvers and Winchesters. I have killed with dynamite, with gas, with fire, with... I cut many things. I have cut ears and made my characters eat their own ears. In this film, I cut thumbs. I don't make my actors eat them because, because they refused. Unfortunately, I killed too many people. I would like to make a film like I did much earlier, like them I made when I was beginning. My people usually lived. When I wasn't making westerns, I wouldn't shoot anybody.
Now, in this film, I notice that you're not recording any direct sound. How do you arrange this with your actors?
Speech usually in westerns of minor importance because we use every nationality, French, Mexican, American. It is often better for the actors to count than to speak. For example, the Frenchman would say, un, deux, trois. The American says, one. That means yes, but it could mean anything. It's unimportant. That's why I hate westerns.
After this, Mr. Corbucci, what films will you do?
A western, naturally.
From the snowbound streets of a western cattle town to the placid Roman countryside is a long step. But the international success of Italian westerns, which at first were taken lightly, is drawing well-known actors from all over the world. Many of them have come from America, others from Germany, England, Australia, Spain, Scandinavia, and yes, even Japan. From France has come one of its best-known actors, Jean-Louis Trintignant. Do you enjoy doing a western?
It is fun. I enjoy it. This is one of the tricks of the western. You start with your head down, then you catch a ray of light under the hat, then down with your head and up again like this.
Since you're known primarily as a romantic actor, don't you find it strange to play in a western?
Romantic? Not so much. I have done a lot of films which are more serious or intellectual. But it's fun to be in a film which is the complete opposite of what I've been doing.
As the hero, do you kill many people?
Yes, maybe 30. In the first 2 minutes of the film, I've already killed 4 professional killers who ambush me. Somehow I get them before they get me. It goes on that way until I kill about 40.
What part do you play?
I play the part of a mute. The audience won't realize it because during the first 2/3 of the film, there's no reason for him to speak. I like it because in most westerns they talk too much and say nothing.
Is it an easy part?
Yes, but not physically. It's difficult for me because I'm basically clumsy. I hurt myself all the time, like when I draw my gun.
Did you have to practice a lot?
Oh, have I? In the film, every time I draw my gun, I have to take my glove off. So at home, I used to practice it with a sock in my hand and a long-stemmed artichoke in my pocket. And I used to go through the motions, taking off the sock, reaching for the artichoke, and...
Here, an Italian stuntman demonstrates the technique of smashing through a door. In Italian westerns, death is quick for an extra, a little longer for an actor. A feature player dies slowly. But for a star, it's a show in itself.
Action! Go ahead. Hold it. Watch out. Your hands are hurting bad, Jean-Louis. Very bad. But wait, you can't now. You feel that everything is slipping away. It's your life that's going. Careful. Look again. Now reach you for your gun. Gun. Try to make it fast. Try, go ahead. Gun, grab it!
Now, Italian stuntman. Never mind. Sergio Sollima, am I disturbing you?
No.
What are you doing now?
I was just working on the editing of my latest Western, Corri Uomo Corri.
Mr. Sollima, you're known as the intellectual of the Italian cinema. How is it that you're making Westerns?
Well, for one thing, the Western has always appealed to intellectuals, and as we know, to most Italians. Also, it gives me the possibility of using a fable. That is, a very popular story which can be understood by any public, to express myself. I can describe characters and present themes dealing with the great problems of our times and various controversial questions.
Thank you. May I see what you're editing?
Sure, by all means. Now, this character we see here, we call him Cuchillo, which means knife in Mexican. He is an illiterate Indian who doesn't even know how to use a gun. So he uses a knife, and he's good with it. But for him, the knife is a defensive weapon. Only in exceptional cases does it become a weapon of attack.
This isn't the right distance for a knife fight.
You chose the knife. I chose the gun. Take a step forward. Another two. Is that okay, Cuchillo?
A bit more!
So your hero is a Mexican Indian?
Yes. I believe the time has come to draw a film hero from the people of the underdeveloped countries, of the third world, so to speak.
Well, if he represents the underdeveloped countries, what about the white man? What does he stand for? The technicians? The villain?
In a way, yes, but it's not as simple as all that. It's just that once in a while, in the face of super technology, super efficiency, the one who should get the public sympathy is the man who is human, who is simple but resourceful.
Breaking through a door has always been one of the most difficult... Oh, well, never mind. Commercial successes in themselves, Italian Westerns have also brought prosperity to Almeria on the Costa del Sol of southern Spain. Once a sleepy provincial town, Almeria has bloomed under the influx of Italian film capital into a Spanish Hollywood. Luxury hotels, fashionable restaurants and shops have sprung up to cater to the international film set. The reason for Almeria's success is not only because there are more sunny days here than anywhere else in Europe, but also because of its real Western countryside. Within 20 miles of the city, there are barren deserts, Mexican villages, and deep canyons.
Calcio, fucile impatto! Vai, via, su di lui, fucile! Mani in alto! Mani in alto! Mani in alto!
Almeria also has its western towns. Today it's Hickland, gateway to the Mexican border. Tomorrow it could be Dodge City, Tombstone, or Abilene. But always populated by local gypsies, pressed into service as Mexican trick riders and stuntmen. Almeria's 5 western villages and Rome's 10 are the world's liveliest ghost towns. While dozens of small producers are following each other in and out of the western towns, the man who started it all, Sergio Leone, has completed his 4th and biggest western. He says it will be his last. The unknown director, who couldn't interest anyone in his first western, is now the all-time Italian box office champion. For his film about the construction of the railroad across the American West, Sergio Leone built his own track in the remote Spanish countryside. He even blasted a mountain out of the way and then hauled an ancient Spanish locomotive rescued from a Barcelona scrap heap to run on his iron road. And who'll be riding the train? Well, there's Henry Fonda, Claudia Cardinale, Jason Robards, and Charles Bronson, among others. Yes, American actors are coming to work in the European version of the Old West. The most recent arrival is television star Chuck Connors. Hi, Chuck. How's your Italian coming along?
Io parlo l'italiano pochissimo.
Chuck, according to your experience starring in American TV and feature westerns, how does the Italian western differ from those made in the USA?
Well, there are many things basically the same about doing a Western here in Italy as well as in America. The sets look the same. We have the horses and the extras and the cavalry and the cowboys and what have you. I would say the underlying difference to me is the emphasis that's placed on the elements of the Western that make it a Western. By that I mean, for instance, in a Western you usually have one or two or maybe three fights, fist fights among the contesting parties. Well, in American Western, there might be 5 or 6 or maybe 7 punches thrown. Here, you'll see a fight go on for 5 minutes. They may throw 25 or 30 or 40 punches. Another element of the Western is the shooting of a gun. When we make one at home, we fire the gun 2 or 3 times. Here, that gun may fire 40 or 50 times. So I'm sure that when we get to riding horses, the same thing will be true. What they do is that they set it up in a larger frame, the Western element of the Western motion picture. And I think they've come a long way, and I expect that they'll get better as time progresses. Basically, however, I've enjoyed it very much and will continue to. The one element which might be in contradiction to that is that from what I've seen, of course my viewing is limited, I've seen about 7 or 8 Italian Westerns, and of course I know this script, that the early American Western, the hero was always a pure hero. It was a question of black and white. And I notice in most Italian pictures I've seen that the hero is really an anti-hero. There's a lot of bad in him. As a matter of fact, I myself, for the first time in a long time, am playing somebody who's not a pure hero. And truthfully, I kind of like it.
All right, we'll give that stuntman just one more chance. I just don't believe it.